What's going on, guys? This is Steven with ls1rx8.com. I'm going to be going over this 2010 Mazda RX8 that I had built back in 2020. I got it. I built it for a buddy of mine. We redid his previous car from a couple years prior to that. It was cheaper to put it all in another car than it was to fix all of the issues with his previous car. So I'm going to be going over all of this car with y'all. So it is an LQ4 engine with, I'm not sure what cam it is. It's probably equal to like a BTR Stage 3, something of that size. It has an LS6 intake. It has 150 shot of nitrous using the nitrous outlets kit. So we have the fuel solenoid and the nitrous solenoid. This is a S2 chassis, 2010 again. This is the air intake that we made for it. So it just goes straight off, 90s, goes to the mass airflow sensor, 90s, and then 90s down, and it ends up going into the bottom, I don't know what you call that. This is our radiator setup that we have been selling. This is the ls1rx8.com Radiator Fan Shroud. Has the hoses, the heater hoses, the expansion tank. So I'm going to go over how that works. So you have the radiator. We have our own cooling fan that is then controlled by the Mazda computer. We have a lower radiator hose that we send with the radiator kit, along with an upper radiator hose. This particular one is specifically for the F-body accessories. Then we have a heater hose kit that comes with the expansion tank that is done separately. So it goes from the heater hose in the front, tees off to the reservoir, and then from the it tees and goes to the heater core, and then the other hose goes straight to the heater core. Then we have the steam port that goes straight all the way up to the radiator, and it tees off and goes to the steam port. So when you're trying to bleed all the air out of the cooling system, you'll pull the hose off the steam port. Once all the air is out of the steam port, then you know your engine is full of coolant. Let's see, what else do we have? So we also have the ls1rx8.com headers. So these are 1 7/8 inch headers with 3-inch V-band outlets. We are using PSI engine harness to run this is a Gen 3 engine. I'm not 100% sure on which injectors we used. We are also using the throttle cable kit that we have on our site as well. To utilize the nitrous, we are using the factory fuel rail, and we're coming straight off of there. I also have our single big fuel system in here. So it's a single pump, 450 Walbro. We're going straight to here. I wonder where I put I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't remember how I actually did all of the fuel system on this. I thought I had the fuel pressure regulator, but I don't see it in here, so I'm gonna have to figure out how I did that. This is also our clutch kit for the clutch master cylinder. So we have our clutch spacer, and then you use the bolts straight through. It bolts straight to from the clutch pedal assembly in the car. And then we have our adapter for this specific one that goes to the clutch line, and this is because of the clutch line design. I'll talk with that more when we get underneath the car. This is utilizing the C7 radiator and condenser. I haven't put anything to cover the engine control module or the EPS control module, which is the electric power steering control module. This is the smaller ABS pump. I don't currently have it mounted. It's kind of just sitting there. I probably should get that mounted somewhere. Oh, it actually has the bracket. I can bolt it down, but it just makes it easier to pull it all out if you don't mount it down, and it doesn't really move when you're driving and stuff. So I've left it alone. let's see, what else do we have under here? I think that's actually it from under the car. So we're gonna go ahead and go up. Oh, I didn't show y'all how the clutch line, I mean, you probably saw it. So this is one of the adapters, and we go straight to the brake master cylinder, and that's how the clutch gets, master cylinder gets fed the brake fluid. So now we're gonna go ahead and go up. And so, as you can see, this also has our big brake kit. So I'm going to show y'all how we installed the big brake kit on this. And these are 18-inch by 9-inch weld racing wheels in the front and 17 by 11s in the rear. So this is utilizing a GT500 front rotor and a GT500 brake caliper. So this is actually a brake caliper from a 2015 Mustang GT. This is without the track pack. The track pack has 15-inch rotors. This is 14-inch rotors. So we have to pull the dust shield off of this, and this is our bracket that we had made. So you have to tap the knuckle in order to bolt the bracket to the knuckle on both upper and lowers. These are 9/16. I don't remember the thread pitch. I think it's 13. And then these are the bolts that we use to go from the bracket to the caliper. We are utilizing the factory brake line. And these are our BC Racing coilovers that we offer. This is an old bump steer kit design that we did. I recommend not using this. I did have a couple of issues with this. I don't know if it was my particular car or the person who was driving it. He actually kept breaking the tie rod. So this is the bottom of our LS1 RX8 headers. They go to a V-band. You can see this car has been really low, so it's actually been getting hit on this V-band. And I'm running the oxygen sensors after the header into the I don't know what you'd call it. I guess it'd be called a downpipe. So we have the regular oxygen sensor, and this has a wide band to watch the air to fuel ratio with the nitrous. And if you see, it does look like you have to trim the C6 engine mount in order to get it to fit past with the header. Some of them had to be trimmed a little more than others. This is our new engine mounting design to where, so you have a nut, a washer, then we have the crush sleeve that you drop in from the top, and then the plate goes on top of that, and then the bolt with a washer goes through that frame plate, and then goes and you just tighten it here. On this side, you will utilize the factory nut that goes to the factory engine mounting location. And you do have a little wiggle room. This is slotted in order to slide the motor forward and backward a little bit if you need to. This has our old style of, we had, man, I'm trying to think of what it was. This is our Delrin plastic engine mounts. These are a lot rougher than our new polyurethane mounts that are made by RevShift. And let's see, so that's on both sides. So on this side, you do not have to make any changes for the header. And so for the battery cable, I went through the little cap for this side of the fuel hat, and I put a grommet through for the battery cable to run, and I go along the frame right here. I just use some sheet metal screws to go along the side, and then I use some heat shield to prevent the exhaust from heating this up and melting it. And I go and I actually put a bolt right here in order to hold it away from the header. I go across the top. You can see it's got a little bit of space, and then it goes straight to the starter. From the starter, I have the wire for the power cable that goes to the alternator. I have it going around the oil pan, and then it goes over the way over here to the alternator. And then from the alternator, I have it going to the upper fuse box. This is our rack and pinion relocation kit. So this utilizes the factory, it's kind of hard to tell, but those are the factory bolts for the rack and pinion. And you have to use some smaller bolts that are in with the kit. You're going to use those to bolt the bracket to the subframe, and then your factory bolts for the rack and pinion go and hold the rack and pinion to the new brackets. What is next? So now we have the steering extension, which you can see right here. So that's our steering extension and how it's installed. Let's see if I can get a good picture. So it goes into our steering rod, and then it goes into the knuckle. And one thing about when you're installing that extension is that when you are tapping it on, most of the time it is not a simple task. And what you have to do is you have to line that center of the slit inside the flat. So you have to do it in the very center of the flat, and you have to knock it on. So whenever you're tapping it on, you typically are going to compress the steering rod, because it's a collapsible steering rod for accidents and things like that. So you have to make sure that you're not doing that. So you have to hold the rod still while you're tapping it on. I've used vice grips to hold it on, and you're going to be hitting it all the way until it is flush with the other rod that is inside of that extension. So then they're going to pretty much butt to each other. Then you're completely done, and you're going to tighten that bolt. So if you do that, then you may or may not have to collapse the rod some or be able to extend it out. You can do so after you tighten your extension to the rod. You can tap it with a hammer one way or the other, which however you need. So another thing is so this is utilizing the tr6060. You can see the heat shield's fallen, and I have a shift rod that I made in order to go from the shifter to the new shifter position. I utilized the factory shifter itself, and I bolted it to the chassis. So I cut all the arms off of it and bolt the shifter directly to the chassis, and then I utilized that new arm that I made for the shifter from the transmission to the shifter itself. Another thing is this is the exhaust. I'm going to work on trying to replicate this exhaust system so that y'all don't have to go to an exhaust shop. That may or may not be an option that y'all are wanting to do. I think it would definitely simplify things. So how this works is right now I'm using a 3-inch to an X pipe, and then from the X pipe I go down to a 2.5, and then I go 2.5 and I go around the differential, and whatever option y'all want, y'all can put whatever muffler you want. I'm probably going to offer some specific ones, and you see I have a little work to be able to make it to where I can mount to this position itself, and probably here as well. I need to make some stuff to be able to hold this exhaust into place, and we are also holding the exhaust right here. I don't remember how exactly I put that on. Oh, that's what I did. I actually put a nut in there, and so I actually tightened these studs into the subframe, so that was actually pretty neat. Also, these are our axles from Drive Shaft Shop that we have made. They are complete drop-in axles. They already have the ABS rings, and they go straight to, this is 2003, 2004 Cobra diff with our differential mounting. And we are also using our front mount. This is the early stages of the S2 differential nose mount, because the S2 rear subframe is different from the S1, and these are our upgrade bushings that we offer in the kit if you want to get those as well. This is a drive shaft that we had made from, we get them made at PST. We get a little discount over there to be able to resell them. We mostly do that just to make things simpler on you. I don't really care if you buy it directly from them or not. It's likely going to be around the same price anyway. So Okay, so I must this is back to the fuel system. So I'm pretty sure that I installed the fuel pressure regulator in the fender. So I'm gonna have to kind of look in there, but it looks like this is how I ran. This is the same way I ran the twin turbo fuel lines. So we have feed and return. So I'm coming through the inner fender to go into there, and I'm running along the driver's side, and then going up to the fuel hat. And so that again goes to our single 450 Walbro pump setup. And I'm trying to think of what else we have on here. Okay, so we can go to the interior then, I guess. Well, actually, I'm going to go over the wheels real quick. So these are 18 by 9 weld S. I forgot which ones they are, but they're for the Supra, is what that's from. And this is a custom wheel spec. I don't remember what the offsets were, but this is a 17 by 11 weld racing wheel with I think this is a 350. There's a 315 3517 ET Street R. And I can show y'all the battery relocation kit that's in the trunk. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open the trunk real quick. I'll show y'all how I installed the battery relocation kit. And this is the battery relocation kit that we sell on our website as well. Right now I have the jump box on it because this thing was dead. So this is the Optima battery that we have, and you screw this directly to the frame of the car. And then it has two mounts, one on each side, that can hold the battery down so that it stays in place. And that definitely makes things significantly simpler to be able to work with, so that the battery doesn't move and it looks clean and nice. This is the 15-pound Nitrous Express bottle that we have with us. I think it's a 6AN feed fitting. We also have in here some Brum Racing seats. And that is the shift knob. I guess he had a cover or something on it. And again, this is the S2 interior with these mats that he had gotten. And we also have a fire extinguisher. So, and with this, we also have the factory accelerator pedal. And I'll show y'all how I had made that. So I believe that this is Nissan Sentra pedal that I had cut off, and I actually notched it right there so that I could zip tie it to the throttle pedal. And I actually used a Dremel to actually Dremel a slot in there to where it hold it in place, where it's actually got it really good to where it's going to be grabbing it there, and it goes up to our throttle cable that we had made, well, that we had gotten, that we sell. And again, this is the factory clutch pedal on here. We did have to do the welding on that to fix the issue that it had. Every freaking clutch pedal on the RX8s all had issues at some point or another for the clutch pedals. And I think that's a rundown of everything on this car. So this car makes 550 wheel horsepower, and I think it made 600 foot-pounds of torque using 150 shot of nitrous. So it's a pretty fun car, and I'm going to be bringing it to Texas 2K, so that if you wanted to see it, you'll be able to meet us there and just let us know, and we'll be able to link up. You'll be able to see what the car's like in person. So we'd love to see you there, and I hope to also have my twin turbo car and a possibility of having an LT based car. So I have an I think it's an L83 5.3. I've already got most everything here that I need in order to put it into the car. I just don't know if I'm going to have enough time in order to make it with building the twin turbo car and repairing the transmission on this one. So you can follow along and you will likely be finding out. So until the next update, I will be seeing y'all later.